I've done many videos talking about authority, explaining and giving closure to it as it relates to correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar. But it's been a while since I published one, and I think it's about time to do so. Because authority in correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar, domain means something a little bit different than it does in the fiction. You will find many mirrors between the fiction and the fact. Authority is one of them in some regards. As you may know, I am speaking using adverb, verb, adjective, pronoun, fiction, plain English, babble for ease of the communication. Because it would take me forever to speak in correct sentence structure. And correct sentence structure communication is a typed or written grammar. Not really conducive to speaking out loud. I mean, you can do it if you want to. But I mean, it would be like walking into a French-speaking establishment speaking Chinese. I mean, who would do that? And why would they do that anyways? So authority. Where does authority come from? Most of us, because we have been raised and educated in an authoritarian society, have very, very clear ideas on what authority is. And it usually has to do with force and guns and clubs and fear. Usually, that's the case. I know this is the case for me, having spent 7 of my formative years going to a Catholic private school, being beaten and cajoled by priests and nuns, and having to go to Mass, to service, 5 days out of the 7-day week while I was in school. Every morning we would go to church for the first half hour, 45 minutes of the day. Being programmed, of course, in that ideology. But the nuns and priests had authority over me. That's what I thought. And they did that by using force. By taking the spine of a book and hitting me in the back of the head. Taking a ruler, smacking it across my fingers. Slapping me across the face. Using a big wooden paddle. Whack! To beat me when I spoke out of turn or fell asleep or whatever it was I was doing as a child. From kindergarten on through 6th grade. That was my life. That's why you will hear me say sometimes certain things about Catholicism and Christianity in general, and religion, monotheism in general. But that's not why we're here. Monotheism is definitely an authoritarian construct, because everyone is supposed to follow the orders or the commandments of the guy upstairs, the male deity, God, Yahweh, whatever you want to call him. You have to do what he says, follow his commandments, or what? Or you're going to burn in hell. Or if you take the softer look and do the New Testament and become Christian and follow the precepts of Christ, if you don't accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you're going to burn in hell. So this is a very authoritarian construct. It's do this or else. But you have free will. Well, I mean, yeah. You have free will. Who doesn't? That has nothing to do with anything else. Point being, the Catholic school I was in was an authoritarian construct, and I believed that those nuns and priests had power over me, authority over me. I couldn't do anything about it. As a child, I don't have a position to do so. I can do things to run away. I can try to not go to school. I can try to not get slapped across the face. do what they say. Either which way, that type of authority, if you bring it into the domain of correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, is no contract. Because it's by force. It's not by consent. It's by fear. It's by coercion. That, ladies and gentlemen, is no contract. It's an act of war. And it doesn't fly in correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar. Contract is by consent. Now, let's move on to another authoritarian construct, the military. If you join the military, you are joining an authoritarian construct. You take an oath, make a vow, get sworn in, all those wonderful words we love to hear and can make jokes about, but it's very serious. You get sworn in, and then the military, the government, owns you, owns your body, owns everything. You become their property. You must do what you're told. No questions asked. You have consented as an adult, 18 years old, legally, you have consented for them to have that authority over you. That's contract by consent. You consented to it. Now you can change your mind later on. But before you do that, when you join and you do consent and you do agree to join the military, you have to think about that. Well, what if I decide I don't like it later? Well, too bad. You're going to run into a whole host of things, issues, problems, if you do that. If you decide midway through your military service that you don't want to be there anymore. It's not going to be comfortable getting out. Just like joining the Hells Angels or the Mafia or some other clique or gang like that. It's going to be tough to get out because you've given a vow. You've taken an oath. And they hold you to those things. So that's another authoritarian construct, another fiction way of saying someone has authority over you. Someone in rank over you in the military has authority over you, just like you have authority over those under you, and so on and so forth. And there are things in place for folks who abuse authority. But really, that's kind of a synonym for permission. You permit them to have authority over you. You agree to it. It's not really authority in the sense of correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar. For example, we'll say the president, or as David-WYNN Miller would say, the pre-simulated denture. The president, PRE means no, by the way, for those of you out there claiming to be president. In that context, supposedly, we are told that the president of the past tense United States is voted in by an election process. So therefore, theoretically, the president is the president of the United States people, the citizens, by consent, because the majority voted for that individual. So that's, again, authority by consent. If you voted, you consented to it. If you didn't vote and you're a civilian, that's consent by default, because you live here and you participate in that fiction system. Now, there are other ways to navigate, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about authority, and I'm giving you examples of fiction authority. What we call fiction, and what I mean by fiction, is in the context of correct sentence structure, meaning the system that utilizes adverb, verb, adjective, pronoun, fiction, babble, grammar modification. That's what I mean when I say fiction. That doesn't mean it's not real. Real, R-E-A-L, no contract. It doesn't mean it's not valid. It doesn't mean that it's imaginary, because it's certainly not. It's certainly not. So that's not what I mean. I mean it in the context of grammar when I say fiction system. That's what I always mean. when I say that, okay? It doesn't mean anything else. I know folks in the common law domain use the word, it's fiction, but what they don't really grasp, because they don't have any closure on quantum grammar, is that they are also fiction, in my eyes. Because I can certify my facts with a continuance of the evidence, grammatically. Anyways, moving on. So those are some examples of fiction authority. Now, when you get down to brass tacks, into correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar domain, authority. Look at the word authority. The word author is contained in there. So in correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, for example, if you create a document, contract, postal vessel, court, venue, you author it, that means you are the authority of that. You have authorized it. Take a live claim, for example. If you create a correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, document, contract, postal vessel, court, venue, known as a live claim or a claim of the live life, you create it, you authored it, you authorized it, you're the authority of it. Using correct grammar mechanics, banking mechanics, postal mechanics, and flag mechanics. You're the authority of that. No one else is. The only way someone else can have authority over your live life claim, your live life, is if you give it to them. You consent to it. But they are not the author of the document. But you, as author of the document, can authorize them to take stewardship of it. In, what is it called? In the fiction, what would that be called? Power of attorney? Something like that. You can do that as the authority of your document. It's the same thing if I take on a client and they want me to write a case for them, make a case for them using document, contract, postal vessel, court, venue. Of course, they have to be a live life claimant, but maybe they don't have closure on correct sentence structure. So then they would, of their own volition, give me consent to write the document, co-write the document with me, meaning they tell me what they want to say, what they want to convey, what they want to articulate, and then I translate it into correct sentence structure. And I work with them to create a document that would conceivably stop a trespass of a fiction entity. So then, when it comes time to put the authority at the end, meaning the author of the document, the client and I both co-authored the document. I wrote it, they gave input. So I would put their name first, and they would wet ink, autograph it, thumbprint it, and then the last name on the document would be mine. Wet ink, autograph, thumbprint. Because I authored the document, I have authority over the document. They also have authority over the document, but I have the ultimate authority over the document based upon knowledge. Now we're getting to, now this is where the bullet hits the bone. Because I have knowledge, authority in the domain of correct sentence structure, and also logically in the domain of fiction, it comes from knowledge. It comes from cognition of data that comes through your port of sensation, and you cognize it and then transship it out as knowledge. Authority basically comes from knowledge. If you know what you're doing, then you have the authority to do that. Then you can do that. As long as you're following those three principles I always talk about. The balance of the honor and the grace, the position of peace and neutrality, the maintenance of rule 1, rule equal. Again, if you're going to make a claim of a title, for example, and this is the best example I can use in my case because It's me. I am a correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar tutor. I have been so for 8+ years. I have. Okay. How can I certify that? If you're a new viewer coming in here and you have watched many dozens or hundreds of hours of David-WYNN Miller videos, and we all know how charismatic that guy is, watching his videos, you may get the sense that that guy has some kind of authority. David-WYNN Miller knows what he's talking about. That's certainly the impression I got when I first watched his videos, even though he was talking about some pretty wild stuff at times. Because of his charisma and his personality and the way he spoke, it caused me to think, wow, some of this wild stuff might actually be possible. You know, who am I to say? You're probably not going to get the same impression from me that you got from him. So if you're a new viewer watching me right now, you're like, well, how's this guy have any type of authority? Blah, 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 you know, what does he mean he teaches grammar? How do I know he knows the grammar? That's where the evidence comes in. I can prove it. And I don't even really have to do anything. It's already been done. 8+ years of videos on this YouTube channel. Over 1,000 videos, folks. Well over 1,000 videos. Free to the public, not behind a paywall. You don't need a secret handshake. You don't have to enter your email address. You don't have to give me anything to access these over 1,000 free videos, which contain the sum total of my correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, knowledge. I have held nothing back. It's all there. Here on this channel for free for you. And if you study and you're serious about it, it won't be long before you realize, Jason knows what he's talking about when it comes to the grammar. That's the claim I make. I'm a tutor, a grammar tutor. I teach quantum grammar. And I can prove it. I can back it up. I can take the Pepsi challenge with anyone and explain syntax, parse. I can create a correct sentence structure on the spot. I can do all that. I've been doing it for years. I have hundreds of students all over the earth. And many of those students I'm still in contact with, and they can certify my claims. I can call them in as witnesses if you want to. Point being, oh, one more thing. Also, if you don't believe me, all you have to do is email me at jasonmatthewg17@gmail.com. Make some sort of challenge. Include your full correct name, please. I will set up a 10 to 15 minute brief consultation. Doesn't cost. There are no charges or fees for this, folks. Show up. I'll send you the location. You show up. You ask me what you want to ask me. There you go. Face to face. Ultimate certification right there. That's my position. That's my offer. So that's how these things are certified. Now, I have my permission from my good buddy and top student, Harry-Charles, Rookslow, from across the pond. I have his permission to share with you some of the stuff he shared with me about his certifications and things that he's done. And this is more so directed towards those entities out there claiming some sort of military title without having ever served in the military. This is for folks out there claiming authority of some sort of military authority with some sort of military ID, card, credential, when they don't have it. And it's just a fiction made up imaginary card from the Wizard of Oz or something. This is the difference. Okay, because this guy, Harry, actually was in the military for 19 years. 17 of those years he was a Royal Marine. He had the title of Royal Marines Commando. He has service record, photographs, medals, perfectly molded green beret for his head shape. He has people he was in the military with who can certify that he was in the military. He has a title of Army Physical Training Instructor, red belt in PTI vest card photograph. He was a mortarman. He was a machine gunner, GPMG by trade when he was in the Marines. He has the course photos, knowledge certificates, trade badges, everything to prove his claim, to back up his claim of these things that he knows how to do in the military. He has the certifications. This is what you have to have authority in the military that we spoke about in the beginning. Okay? You have to have the know-how. You're not going to throw somebody or be out in the field if you don't know what you're doing, because you're going to put people in danger if you don't know what you're doing. And the military is not going to put somebody out there willfully that doesn't know what they're doing, unless it's some sort of strategic move. Which brings me back to those folks claiming military titles with no military service records and no certifications other than shit that they wrote. That's like me saying, you know, I'm postmaster commander of the Cosmos from Orion C. And you know how I claim that? My proof of that? It's this document that I wrote. That's my certification. So you better believe it. It's right here. No, folks, that's not how it works. You have to prove it. Someone once said, and I think they were trying to create a catchphrase of some sort. In the fiction, of course. It was a fiction entity that created this. But they said, authority is demonstrated, not declared. Neither one of those things is accurate, because people declare authority all the time. You hear people in the domain of quantum grammar declaring authority all the time. They'll say that there's a president, their postmaster general, their mustard master, whatever else type of title that they have, commander-in-chief. They declare a title. Declare. That's fiction. But they don't demonstrate the title, do they? No, they don't demonstrate. The only way they demonstrate is to just take us all to Yapville with no substance behind it. I'm commander-in-chief because this says so. Even in the fiction, I just explained to you how a president becomes president. Theoretically. It's by consent. People have to consent for that to happen. Theoretically. You get it? You get a group of people together. Maybe, instead of being a starfish organization, you want to be a spider organization and have a head. So, okay, what do? You bring forth a leader. You all agree. Hey, that's the individual that we want calling the shots to speak for us. You agree to it. It's by consent. You give them authority or consent or permission to speak for you, to make those choices, the tough choices. In households, you have children and parents. These days, I'm sure there's very few people watching that haven't had their homes broken, so that's kind of broken apart. But you will find in each household that there is usually one singular household leader who calls the shots, makes the choices. Theoretically, in the nuclear family where you have the parents and the children, usually there's one individual who calls the shots, makes the ultimate decisions. Whether people like it or not, they will make the decisions. Especially for the children. The parent will make the choices for the children because the children are not They don't possess the knowledge to have the authority to make those types of choices. They don't have the experience to do that. Life experience. The parent has life experience, good or bad, we don't know. But in any case, they make that choice for the child. It's the same way the nanny state government theoretically works. The people, the citizens, are like the children, can't make their own decisions about how money should be spent or wars that should be fought or drugs that should be doled out or jabs or boosters or whatever. So the government acts as the parent and makes those choices for the citizens. And then, like the child, if the child doesn't like what the parent is doing or not, or the child is very unhappy with what's going on, maybe the child might throw a temper tantrum. It's the same thing as the citizens throwing a protest. They're crying, oh, we're unhappy with this, blah, 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 blah. And if they create enough noise and cause enough headache, then the parent, i.e. the nanny state government, will give in and give them a little piece of candy or something to shut them up and move them along. And then it's back to business as usual. I just said a lot of things in that, a lot of different implications, and I hope people catch that, what I was saying in there. So this is about a half hour of me talking about authority, giving different examples of it, and also, most importantly, how it relates to correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar. When David-Wynn, Miller, and Russell-J. Gould, back when they were a team, when they would walk into foreign vessels in dry dock, where did they get their authority from? Where? Did a fiction judge certify them? Where did they get their authority? David tells you in some of those videos. From knowledge. They studied. They did their own thing. And they walked in. And they literally did walk in holding their own documents that they had authored to claim a position. But the difference is they went in allegedly and they were able to hold those positions because they had the knowledge to back it up. And as they went along, they gained more experience, more thousands and thousands of hours of study and performance and whatnot, and went from there. And that's the same way this works. For me, that's the same way it's worked for me. The more experience I have, the more thousands of hours I get from study and teaching and performance and doing cases and making claims and whatever else. That's what I say about the 1x1.9 Title 4 flag. There are some folks out there who claim some sort of copyright on it, which I don't cognize because I don't see any authority over that. They didn't authorize the flag because they're not the author of the flag. And I've said it time and time again. Show me the copyright contract for that flag written in correct grammar. No particles of negation, correct positional sequencing, all those things. Show me. I have yet to see it. So therefore, in my mind, because of lack of evidence, there is no such thing. So in my mind, I use the flag. I don't own the flag. I don't claim authority over the flag because I didn't author the flag. I just use it because I have the knowledge to do so. When you see that flag in the port side upper corner of a document contract postal vessel court venue written by me, you know that it's correct grammar. And you know that I could explain and give closure to every single thing that's on that document. Correct syntax, correct everything. I can do it. And I have done it. And I do everything in the public. The only thing I do in the private or confidential are cases that I get, or if I teach people in a confidential workshop, if they want me to be their tutor, it's like walking into a classroom for an hour. But outside of that, everything I do is in the public. I don't have some private Telegram group where I talk shit and I do my work there so no one can actually scrutinize what I'm doing, kind of hiding behind closed doors like the Freemasons or something. I don't do that. I don't put my syntax lessons behind a paywall and make people pay hundreds of pounds to learn it. No, it's all free right here. It's all free on this channel. I can't say that. I can't stress that enough. It's all free right here. You just have to take the time to dig in and watch it. Thus, proving my claim of correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar tutor, which gives me the authority to make such claims. You can do the same thing. It's the psychology of authority that many folks perhaps don't have a grasp on, or they're so wrapped up and ensconced in the fiction they can't see it. As a wise man once said, you don't know what you don't know, and that includes me. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you for watching. With all humility, I appreciate you. Que sera, sera.